Quest presents an unabridged recording of Only the Brave by Mel Sherratt. Narrated by Antonia Beamish.
Chapter 1. January the 31st, 2015. Allie Shenton blinked away tears. Her long hair was scraped back in a ponytail, her face scrubbed clean of makeup. She stared at her sister lying in the hospital bed. Karen had been there for 2 weeks now. It was touch and go at first, and even though she was stable, she still wasn't breathing for herself. She was in an induced coma. Only time would tell if she was ever going to become strong enough to fend for herself again, and it was wearing Allie and her husband Mark down. Allie had just solved a murder case when she'd received a phone call from the doctor at Riverdale Residential Home. Her sister Karen had been a resident there ever since she was attacked 17 years ago. She'd been ill for a few weeks before she'd finally suffered another brain hemorrhage. Since January the 16th, Allie had been on compassionate leave, as well as taking all the annual holiday entitlement she could have, but she was running out of days. More than that, she was racked with guilt, because she was desperate to get back to routine, cooking meals, paying the bills, day-to-day normality, living. She hated herself for even thinking like that, but no matter how much she tried to block it out, a small part of her mind betrayed her. Everything had been taken from Karen. There was so much they had both missed out on. It just didn't seem fair. With a breaking heart, she looked at her sister, knowing that Karen might not survive for another month, another week, another day even. Allie couldn't begin to think what life would be like without her. The door opened. The nurse who entered was almost as familiar to her as every line on her sister's face. Marissa, a young woman in her 20s, small but heavily built, a mop of blonde curly hair kept out of the way with the help of a large blue clip. Allie had never seen her without a smile, never heard less than a kind word. It occurred to her, as she looked at Marissa, that just as her own job in the police force was suited only to some, the same could be said about health professionals. A certain type of demeanour was required to walk the thin line between the grittiness of life and the harshness of death. "Hello, Allie. How are you today?" Marissa asked. "I'm good, thanks. How about you? Shaking off that cold yet?" "For now. That's the trouble with working in an environment like this. There's always something to catch." Marissa.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?